Good Monday morning to you. The time now is 10 a.m. You're listening to WDBX FM Carbondale. The show is Talk of the Town, and I'm your host, Amy Fox. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. Finally, some good weather in store for all of Southern Illinois, and I have Mr. Bob Bear in studio this morning. I like to call you Mr. Eclipse, but I know you're more than just the eclipse. You are a professor over at Southern Illinois University.
Well, I work in the physics department. I'm a staff member there, actually, and I direct the public astronomy observations for the department. So, yeah, well, I put an enormous amount of time into the eclipse. There's a lot more going on between now and 2024 when we have the next one.
Right, and you have a big event going on July the 12th, this coming Friday, Southern Illinois 2019 Star Party. And tell us a little bit about what people can expect come this Friday.
Sure. Well, this is an extension of the Star Party we did last year, which was the Mars opposition party when Mars was close to us. And that happens every couple of years. Mars gets close and you see a slightly oranger dot in the sky, basically. Now, this one, we've got Jupiter and Saturn are close to us. They're both at opposition within about a month of the Star Party, which means they're close and they're big and they're bright. So through the telescopes, you can start to see quite a bit of detail on both of those planets. The moon's also out that night, and we're holding the Star Party out at the SAU Farms, out at the dark site is what we call it out there. It's a little bit away from the lights of Carbondale, and where we usually have our observations at Neckers. So out at the farms, people will they'll be able to catch a shuttle to get out there is one thing I want to make sure I mention.
Sure.
There's not hardly any parking out at the farm, so people will take a shuttle from Oakland and Chautauqua, from the corner of Oakland and Chautauqua, which is lot 63, and they'll shuttle around some of that construction that's going on to get out to the farms.
And I'm sure you'll have signs and people kind of directing traffic then? Yeah,
we'll have signs out for where that lot is, and at the entrance of the farms there will be signs. And like I said, there's not any public parking out there, but if someone has a large telescope they want to bring out, even a member of the public, I'd encourage them to contact me, and I can arrange to get them a parking pass for the evening. And of course, if people want to bike or just walk into the site, they're welcome to do that as well.
And when people get to the farms on Friday, what can they expect?
So we're opening the gates, so to speak, at 7 p.m. And the first thing we're going to be doing are solar observations. So we have special solar telescopes out with special filters like we used during the total solar eclipse. And we'll be looking at the sun and looking for sunspots and the prominences that it kind of looks like fire coming off of the edge of the sun. So we'll do that until the sun sets. And from the farms, you can actually see a pretty good sunset out there right up until probably around 8:15. And then after the sun sets, we're going to start our presentations for the evening.
And as far as maybe first-timers who maybe never looked through a telescope, never seen something like this, I'm sure the reactions are very unique from person to person.
Yeah, they definitely are. I'd say the first time people see Saturn, they tend to think that we're messing with them or something, because it's such a sharp image of Saturn with the rings. You see the rings when Saturn's tilted the right way, and you can see the striation, the little banding in the rings. It's just gorgeous. And so people get up around the front of the telescope and look and make sure we don't have a picture pasted on the front of the scope, or it's like some stereoscopic viewer or something. But the images are real. You can see the moons of Jupiter through the scopes as well. And I should mention, all the scopes that are out there that night on the telescope pads are going to be free for the public to use. The whole event's free. And we'll have amateur astronomers out there with all the telescopes, letting people know what they're looking at and helping them look through the scopes.
Is there ideal weather for this?
There is. So if, as long as it's not really cloudy, we'll be able to see stuff in the sky. The planets are pretty bright. The moon's very bright, and the moon will be about 3/4 full that night. And so we can see the moon and these planets through a little bit of light haze, but ideally you really want it dark Later in the evening, and that's why we're going till midnight on this, later in the evening as the ambient light gets cut down as we stop our presentations and we turn off the lights from our projectors, you'll be able to see things better. And, knock on wood, provided we have good weather for the evening, that, a clear, cloudless evening is perfect for being able to see the planets as well as the deep sky objects that'll be visible later on.
And I can't help but to think this is a great opportunity for families to come out, and maybe a young kid out there, this kind of is a light bulb, spark something that they never really thought of, and this has them kind of thinking about maybe pursuing a career in astronomy.
Yeah, I think everyone who's in astronomy can tell you when they first looked through a telescope and what they saw and what they remember. And I remember looking through a spotting scope that my dad had at the moon and wondering, why is the moon moving so fast, and realizing it's really the Earth's rotation. So it gets people thinking about stuff like that. And this is a family event. One of the things that we've added this year are the presentations and the showing of the movie Voyager, The Farthest, a little later in the evening. And that's geared to give the kids and the people who might not want to look through a telescope for hours on end, because not everyone can do it for that long. But it gives everybody something else to do. The Adler Planetarium is sending a group, their Galaxy Ride crew, so it's 3 astronomers and outreach professionals from the Adler. And they'll have activities, more activities for families to do and things for people to look at throughout the night. So like I said, it adds a little bit of variety to the Star Party.
Right, and there are several groups that have teamed up to put on this event.
There are. So this is the physics department where I work, of course, and we have some of our staff members and some of our students out there, but also the Astronomical Association of Southern Illinois. I'd say almost all the members will be there that evening with telescopes, and the Adler Planetarium of Chicago, as well as we've gotten a little bit of help from WSIU with the event as well.
Right. And are there any particular items that people need to bring with them on Friday?
I would suggest, if you're going to stay there a while, bring a lawn chair or a blanket. The site is out in the middle of the farms. Bug spray would be a good idea. If you're getting there close to sunset, I wouldn't worry so much about sunscreen. But enough stuff to stay comfortable out there for a little while. There's porta potties on site, but like I said, with the shuttles going every 15 minutes, most people, I think, will want to get there and hang out there for a little while. There will be food, and there will be limited vending on site, and we got to talk to our vendors. One of them's over in Cape, and I don't know.
Yes, with the flooding situation, it makes it a little challenging to get to Carbondale.
Exactly. So if people, if they want to bring their own soft drinks and water for the evening and stuff like that, they're absolutely welcome to.
And you said that the ideal time to get there would be around 7 o'clock. That's kind of when things kick off. But you have a number of different things going on throughout the evening. So if someone wants to come for an hour or two, like you said, you'll have the shuttles running every 15 minutes, so people can come and go as they please then.
That's right. At any time throughout the night. So getting there a little bit early if they're going to get food on site. Most people want to get their food when there's enough light to see their food. So that's why we're doing that early, and we'll have some lighting set up. But I'd say after about 10:30 or 11, that's when the site gets really dark.
Okay.
So if you want to get out there and see things when it's really dark, I'd say plan to stay the whole time or shoot for that later time.
And why is an event like the Star Party so important, not only to Southern Illinois University and Carbondale, but all of Southern Illinois?
Well, there's a lot of people from the community that go to this. We were surprised last year. Our first large Star Party was the Mars Opposition. We had about 450 people show up.
Wow, that's crazy.
And during the summer, when the students, for the most part, aren't here, these were families bringing their kids out to events. So as you mentioned before, this is something that gets kids interested in science. It's a free event, but a lot of community come out to these events, these large-scale observations, and even the regular observations throughout the year.
Have you noticed an increase in people attending these types of events following the total solar eclipse?
Yes, a little bit of a pickup in the numbers. I mean, the Mars opposition event was a huge pickup, so the large event numbers are way up. The engagement, or the people really interested on social media, has just skyrocketed. And I've noticed that that's true. We can see some of our partners. So the Adler Planetarium in Chicago, we get interest from Chicago. We get interest from the Louisiana area, from our LSU partners that worked with us during the last eclipse. But the numbers of people engaged in this is in the thousands online.
That's crazy. And such a great opportunity for Southern Illinois University to put its name on the map.
Yep, we're celebrating our 150th anniversary this year, and going with the success that we had from the eclipse, a very positive event, a lot of people involved. I'm really happy to carry this sort of thing on with the star parties. And
once again, we are talking about the 2019 Star Party going on this Friday from 7 p.m. to midnight. And once again, Bob, if you can tell us about the parking situation and where people need to go, because that's a very important piece to this puzzle.
Yeah. Well, as most people in Carbondale know, there's construction going on Chautauqua. So with that in mind, you will be looking for SIU lot number 63, which is at the corner of Oakland and Chautauqua. And from there, we'll have shuttles departing about every 15 minutes. And the shuttles are then going to route around the construction out to the Star Party, and they'll drop you off and bring you back to that same parking lot. So I don't anticipate that parking lot getting full, but if it does for that evening, there are adjacent parking lots at SIU, and the parking is free that evening, so people don't have to worry about paying for parking either.
Right, and you have a number of different activities that will be going on that evening.
Yeah, so we start with the solar observation, and then the presentations. And if you've seen our flyers, we talk about jumbo screen outdoor presentations. So we have this large inflatable screen that we're going to be doing the presentations on. And the first presentation is Remembering Apollo 11, 50 years later, by Dr. Liliana Leftikaru, who is a geologist with SIU Carbondale. She's a planetary scientist. So she'll be talking about Apollo 11, which I think most people have heard a little bit about that. First steps on the moon for mankind. And then at 9 o'clock, Michelle Nichols from the Adler Planetarium of Chicago is doing a presentation on the night sky called Look Up. So just to tell everyone what's in the night sky. And then 9:30 p.m. on for, I think it's about an hour to an hour and a half movie, Voyager the Farthest, which that's about the Voyager probes in space. There were 2 of them, and they're still out there. They're still going on, and so it'll be a really interesting documentary movie. And while that's all going on, we've got the telescopes, of course, 10 telescope pads. We have between 12 and 15 telescopes that will be out there, and you can take looks through all of them throughout the evening. They're pointing at different objects. Some of them might be pointing at the same thing, but you get different views with the larger scopes from the smaller scopes, and we'll even have a few scopes where people can put their cell phone on the scope and get a picture of the moon.
That's awesome. And if people would like to learn more, if they have questions, where's the best place to go?
Well, we have a Facebook event page on SIU Carbondale's main Facebook page, and that's the most up-to-minute information and discussion info. We also have a web page, physics.siu.edu/events/astronomy, which has the static information for the event, the maps, and the full schedule for the evening.
Great. Lots of good information. Bob, anything else you'd like to add? Maybe I forgot to ask you?
Nothing I can think of. I'm hoping it's an enjoyable evening. I'm looking forward to it.
We're crossing our fingers for good weather, but as of now, everything looks great. So, knock on wood, right?
Yep.
Bob Baer with Southern Illinois University. Thanks so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Amy.
And we're going to take a short break and get you some announcements, and I'll be right back.
Good morning. This is Alicia with the City of Carbondale here to bring you this week's calendar of events. The City of Carbondale Park District, and SIU Student Rec Center are teaming up to bring a new outdoor program to Cedar Lake this summer. Learn how to paddleboard, canoe, and kayak while enjoying the great outdoors. Classes will be offered on the following dates. Tuesday, July 9th for ages 12 and up, it's stand-up paddleboard instruction beginning at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 7 p.m. The kayak instruction will be held on Wednesday, July 10th for ages 16 and up beginning at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 7 p.m. The canoe instruction will be held on Friday, July 12th, ages 16 and up, beginning at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 7 p.m. The fee is $20, which includes the boat, life vest, paddle, and 45 minutes of instruction. To register, call the Life Center at 549-4222. And on Wednesday, July 10th, 2019, it's Chill Out in the Park. The Carbondale Fire Department is participating again this year in this program sponsored by the Carbondale Park District. The Fire Department will provide a water spray for children to play, beginning at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. at Addicts Park. Join them as they beat the 2019 summer heat. For more information, please call 549-4222, and the event is free. And on Thursday, July 11th, 2019, the Sunset Concert Series continues. This week will be reggae from the Raging Fire, reggae and contemporary island tunes straight from Kingston, Jamaica. The event will be held at 8701 South Washington Street. For more information, call 618-536-3393. For information on these events and others, please visit our website at WDBX.org, or you can reach us by phone at 618-457-3228. Thank you and have a great week.
Good Monday morning to you. The time now is 10:17 a.m. You're listening to WDBX FM Carbondale. The show is Talk of the Town, and I'm your host, Amy Fox. We hope you're having a wonderful start to your work week. I'm in studio this morning with Ana de Unamuno with the Rides Mass Transit District. Thanks so much for joining me, Ana.
Yes, thank you so much for having us here, Amy.
And if you can tell me a little bit about Rides Mass Transit District and the services you provide folks here in Southern Illinois.
Yes, absolutely. So Rides Mass Transit District is a public transportation agency, and we're a little bit different than your traditional public transportation system. We are what you can refer to as a deviated route system. So really what that means is that we have the ability to pick people up directly wherever they're located and take them directly to their destination. And we provide that particular kind of service in 17 different counties throughout the southeastern part of Illinois. To name those counties for our southern region, we're in Saline, Gallatin, Hardin, Pope, Williamson, and for our northern region, we're in Clark, Crawford, Cumberland, Edwards, Hamilton, Jasper, Lawrence, Richland, Wabash, Wayne, and White counties. So as you can see, there's really a lot of opportunity there to travel. And here in Carbondale, we actually provide fixed route service. So that's going to be a little bit different here. There are going to be designated stops that a rider would have to get to in order to catch the bus and get off at. And additionally, we do provide intercity access as well to other areas around here. We're in St. Louis, Evansville, Mount Vernon. In our northern regions, we provide access in Springfield, Champaign, Terre Haute, Vincennes, and a lot of other areas. So the scope is pretty large of areas that people can get to.
And you do have handicap accessible vehicles as well.
Absolutely, yes. We do provide that accessibility for people that need it.
And so if we can talk a little bit about the different types of services, kind of break those down for people. We have the fixed routes. If you want to talk a little bit about those.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, the fixed routes here that run in Carbondale are mainly going to run through the Saluki Express. We actually became the provider as of last summer. So again, a lot of those routes are going to be through that service, and you can find those listed on our website at ridesmtd.com. Those routes are very convenient. There's actually a free application that you can download on any smart device. It is user-friendly to both Android and Apple. But it basically allows you to track the bus in real time. You can set notification alerts when the bus is 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away, and so on. That way you don't actually have to wait outside the whole time. So it's really handy for that. For those routes, you don't have to call and schedule. If you go to the route schedule on our website, depending on what route you need access on, it's going to have the minutes listed after the hour that it runs around that stop every hour, so you know what times you need access on.
And those are really handy, especially for people trying to get to and from buildings and different jobs, and maybe just to pick up a load at the grocery store.
Absolutely. So there's a pretty large area of Carbondale that those routes even cover. A lot of them are going to be on campus for students that need access to different buildings, as you mentioned. But it also targets over by Larry's House of Cakes, the airport out in that area, Arnold's Market, the Reserves, Westwood Apartments, and then, of course, over to the Walmart, Kroger area as well. So there's a lot of opportunity there to travel and get different access.
And then you also offer the service where people can coordinate with your staff and have someone pick them up at their home and then transport them to the doctor's office, for example.
Absolutely. So we do have that deviated access as well, as I mentioned earlier. That's going to be mainly in the 17 counties that we service. But if people, like, for example, are located in Carbondale and need to get out to Marion or Harrisburg or any of those other counties, we can definitely coordinate that. It's really simple. All they need to do is contact us. We do have 2 main numbers. So for our southern region here in Saline, Gallatin, Hardin, Pope, Williamson, and coming from Carbondale, you would contact 844-220-1243. And it's going to be pretty simple. They'll ask you for your name, where you're located, and where you're needing to get to and what time. And then we pretty much just coordinate that service for you. And for our northern region, basically for every other county I mentioned previously, it's going to be 844-718-1882, and it'll be the same process. You'll just give them the information, and they'll schedule your service.
And how far in advance does that need to be done? Can that be done up to like an hour before, or do you need 24-hour advance notice?
Good question, absolutely. So I would recommend for people that are traveling locally, meaning like they're just getting picked up at their home and traveling to the Walmart down the street. Local residential access, we request an hour in advance. Most of those routes are going to be an hour apart from each other, so we recommend an hour in advance. But for anything else, if you're traveling from one county to another, or even any of those inner city locations like St. Louis, it's going to require a little bit more coordination, so 24 hours in advance is what we recommend, or even more if you know in advance.
And as far as the inner city routes, can you explain that a little bit more? You can take people from southern Illinois outside the region to appointments and those types of things.
Absolutely. So for those inner city destinations, it's going to work a little bit differently. As you mentioned, we can definitely take people to their medical appointments, whatever facilities those are at. But the main purpose behind those routes is really to be able to connect people to their local transportation so they can travel around the city. So some other big points are going to be your Amtrak, Greyhound stations, and your airports, and really just any local transportation that they can connect with out there.
Gotcha. And as far as people paying to utilize the services, can they buy a pass? Do they just have to pay individually every time they use the bus service?
Absolutely. Great question. So to start off with, here in Carbondale, students, it's all included in their fees, so they're not actually paying anything extra out of pocket. That population can actually go to our website and download their QR code. It's basically going to behave as their bus pass, and it'll have instructions, but you will need your SIU dog tag and your email. It'll send you an email with that QR code that you can download to your smart device. If you don't have one, that's okay. You can print it. And you'll scan that every time you get on the bus. That does also enable you to go to the areas like St. Louis and all of those other inner city destinations. For the general public, it's going to be a little bit different here in Carbondale. It's just $1 each way. And in the 17 counties that we service, the cash fare is going to be $2 per county. For any seniors that are 60 or older or have a disability, everything's going to be half the cost. So in Carbondale, it would just be 50 cents. In all of those other 17 counties, it would just be $1. That being said, we do offer bus passes as well for the frequent riders that utilize it very frequently. And for 1 month, it's $30. For any seniors that are 60 or older or have a disability, of course, it's going to be half the cost, so just $15. From there, we also offer a 180-day pass, and you can even purchase one up to a year. And then additionally, we do have Intercity Bus Passes that you can purchase for a month. And that's going to be what I like to call your full pass, because it gives you that unlimited local transportation for the month, but it also gives you access to St. Louis, Springfield, Champaign, all of those inner city locations as well. And that's going to be $50 for the month, or again, half the cost if you're 60 or older, have a disability.
And why is it so important to offer a service like this to folks here in Southern Illinois?
Absolutely. So the goal is really to be able to provide people the opportunity to travel. Even if you do have a vehicle, it's just really handy because it saves you on the cost of gas. You never know when you're going to have a vehicle breakdown anyways, so it's really just a handy service to have to connect people to the areas that they really need access to.
And if people would like to learn more about your services, would like to see the routes, where's the best place to route them to?
Absolutely. So they're always welcome to visit our website, ridesmtd.com. We do have a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page that we do post on regularly. And as far as any route updates, things like that, we'll always post information on there as well. So if you go to our Facebook page, just Rides Mass Transit District, or Twitter or Instagram, you will see our information on there as well.
And I think it's important to note that you are out there all the time. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's really early in the morning or really late at night. You have routes and providing rides for people throughout the community nonstop.
Yes, absolutely. We do have routes, depending on the county, the locations that you're in, of course, that's going to vary. But we do have routes that start as early as like 5 a.m., don't end until close to midnight. So there's really a lot of opportunity for people to just get the access that they need for the people that actually use the service.
And Anna, is there anything else you would like to mention? Maybe I forgot to ask you just about Rides Mass Transit District and the services that you provide the local community.
Absolutely. We don't have a designated date for the opening yet, but we will have a park and ride facility available in Marion. We were just kind of looking for a central point that other transit providers could also benefit from. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be just in front of the VA Fairgrounds there. And again, we don't have an opening date, but we'll post that information as we know a little bit more. And really the goal behind having that facility there is just for it to behave as a connecting point that other transit providers like Shawnee Mass Transit, South Central, even your Greyhound buses will have access to connect those riders to points beyond that maybe we don't have access in, or vice versa. It'll also just kind of create the opportunity for people that want to go there and park their vehicles to hop on those routes that can connect them to St. Louis, Evansville, and so on. So we're really excited about that. And again, just follow us on our website or on our social media to get a little bit more information about when that will be open.
Great. And one more time, your website for people to go to.
Yes, that will be rides, RIDESMTD.com.
Great. Lots of good information. Thanks so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks so much for having us, Amy.
And that does it for me this morning. I hope you have a great day, and I'll be back next week. Have a good day.
This hour of programming is brought to you in part by your membership.